Revealed: how a mafia boss transformed his maid's life after finding her crying in the rain alone. Maria bent her head under the relentless downpour, heart pounding in her chest like the drums of war. She was soaked to the bone, tears mixing with the rain that drummed a symphony of despair on the cracked pavement of her neighborhood in Chicago. Just hours before, she had lost her second job, a casualty of corporate greed, a woman's life upended with a single pink slip. She was a single mother, fighting to keep her 2 kids fed and clothed. Yet here she was, a ghost of hope drowning in a world that had turned its back on her. Her hands clenched tightly around the strap of her worn-out bag, the weight of despair almost unbearable. With every drop of rain that hit her face, she felt the crushing realization settle in. She was alone. But across the street, obscured in the shadows of a dimly lit alley, Giovanni lingered. Known as a mafia boss, infamous for his ruthless demeanor, he watched her with eyes that had seen too much darkness. He had his own scars, his own story of loss and longing, and somehow this broken woman struck a chord deep within him. He moved closer, stepping through puddles that shimmered with the reflections of streetlights. When their eyes met, a strange connection sparked. Maria looked at him, her heart pounding in a panic. Was this man, cloaked in danger, really here to help her? Giovanni took a breath, wanting to extend a lifeline. "I can offer you work," he said, his voice low and steady. "It's legitimate. I'm trying to turn things around." A flicker of possibility ignited within her, but caution held her tight like the straps of her bag. Maria felt torn, her instincts screaming at her to run, while her heart yearned for something more. Who was this man? Could he really be different? Just as doubt gripped her tighter, she thought of her kids, their laughter, their needs, their future. The very thought of their smiles sparked courage inside her. "What kind of work?" she finally asked, her voice betraying a hint of hope. "Help me build a cleaning business. I need reputable faces. I need you." In that moment, Giovanni's past clashed violently with the man he hoped to become, and Maria stood at the crossroads of desperation and opportunity. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as glimmers of hope began to weave their way through the fabric of Maria's life, shadows lurked. Friends whispered warnings, voices tainted by fear and skepticism. Could Giovanni really be trusted? And what if his connections pulled her back into the very darkness she fought so hard to escape? Each passing day, the weight of his world pressed upon her, a constant reminder of the risks she would take. As her community noticed the changes in her demeanor, how she held herself differently, how she began to smile again, mixed reactions emerged. Support would blossom from unexpected places, while mistrust lingered in the corners, slow to fade. Now, the question gnawed at her. Could this man, his allegiances already tested, really change for the better? And, in doing so, could he help her claw back some sense of control over her life? In the tumult of conflicting emotions and whispered doubts, her story began to unfold in ways she couldn't yet fathom. Little did they both know they stood on the brink of a transformation, where paths crossed in the most unexpected of ways. The sound of boots splashing in puddles broke the heavy silence that enveloped the alley where they stood. Giovanni searched Maria's face, deciphering the storm of emotions swirling in her eyes. She was so close, yet worlds apart. He felt it too, the weight of their pasts, the uncertainty of their futures. "I know it sounds crazy," he continued, carefully gauging her reaction, "but I need someone who understands hard work, someone who can rally people to believe in a second chance. I've had my share of mistakes. This is my chance to make it right, not just for me, but for people like us. The sincerity in his voice pierced Maria's hesitation, sparking small embers of hope buried beneath her fear. "What if I fail?" she whispered, a tremor in her voice. The chill from the rain seeped into her bones, but Giovanni's gaze was a warm light amidst the cold reality she had faced. "Then we both learn," he replied, his tone steady, reassuring. "But I won't let you fall without a fight. Look around, Maria. Everything feels heavy right now, but it can change. Together, we can build something that lifts us both." His words wrapped around her heart. How many times had she dreamed of finding a way out of the shadows? As she looked into his eyes, she saw something different, redemption reflected in his dark depths. "I'll try," she finally said, feeling the fight bubble within her chest. "But I need to know this won't pull me back into trouble." Giovanni nodded. It was a small concession, but it held great weight. With a determined heart, Maria took the plunge. Starting the next day, she would join Giovanni's venture. Yet, even as she stepped into this new chapter, whispers of doubt clung to her. Friends became wary as the news spread. "Are you sure?" they'd ask, casting sidelong glances her way. They couldn't understand. Giovanni wasn't just a boss or a shadowy figure. He was a man who had seen her at her low and offered her a lifeline. Those moments of connection grew roots inside her, and each day spent working alongside him felt like building a bridge out of darkness. Training began in fits and starts, and Giovanni transformed the space into a buzzing hub of activity. There were headaches and arguments, laughter echoing in the empty rooms, and tiny victories over every mess they cleared. As Maria poured herself into her work, she began to find her voice again, rallying others to join them. Yet beneath the surface was a brewing storm. Giovanni's past wasn't done with him. Shadows of old enemies loomed, threatening to unravel the fragile ties they were weaving. Maria glimpsed these threats in passing murmurs, the sudden tension in Giovanni's shoulders, the hard glances cast from associates that never fully aligned with his hopes. One afternoon, during a rare moment of respite, Maria stood outside, letting the sun warm her face. The laughter of her children echoed in her mind. Would they ever truly feel safe? Just then, she heard footsteps approaching, but they were heavy, filled with intent. "Maria!" Giovanni's voice broke through the warmth of the day. There was urgency. "We need to talk, now." As she turned to face him, fear rippled through her. What could it be now? Did it threaten everything they had begun to build together? And there it was again, that question. How far could she trust him in the boy's game of shadows? The world felt unsteady beneath her feet as she stepped closer, determination mixing with fear. Suddenly, the stakes felt higher than ever. What was he about to reveal? Giovanni's expression was a mix of urgency and worry. He took a deep breath, as if he were gathering strength for the revelation that he knew could change everything for both of them. "Maria," he began, his voice low, "it's about my past. You know I've made mistakes, right? Well, those mistakes are coming back, and they're not just mine to handle anymore." Her heart raced. Shadows of doubt crept back into her mind. Was he about to pull her back into chaos? She weighed his words, trying to grasp reality amidst the rising tide of anxiety. "What does that mean?" she asked carefully, her voice barely above a whisper. Giovanni glanced around, ensuring they were alone. The noise of the city hummed in the background, oblivious to the storm brewing in the alley. "There are people who won't let me move on. They think I owe them. They want me to pay, and if I don't, they're going to hurt the people I care about. You, and even your children." A cold shiver ran down Maria's spine. Her children! The thought of them caught in the crossfire of a world she desperately tried to escape was unbearable. "What do you intend to do?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I have to confront them, but I can't just go in unprepared. I need to protect you and the others who've believed in this dream we're building." Giovanni's gaze intensified. "I need your help. If we've built this place up, we can make it stronger together. I don't want anyone to tear it down." Her instincts screamed at her to run, to pull away from the precipice of danger that loomed before her. But something, maybe the fire in his eyes, called her to stand firm. "What do you want me to do?" He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "I need you to help me gather information. Talk to the others, find out if anyone's noticed anything strange. I can't do this alone." For a moment, Maria felt a flicker of vindication. This wasn't just about the two of them anymore. It was about the purpose they had sewn together, the community they were forging amidst the wreckage of their pasts. "Okay," she finally said, the words escaping her lips before she could think twice. "But we need a plan. This can't be reckless. I won't put my family at risk." Giovanni nodded, his features relaxing, the tension slightly easing from his shoulders. "We'll do it smart. We'll protect what's ours." They stood together for a moment, the weight of their decisions settling heavily, but also providing a strange sense of unity. Then a thought pierced through the thick fog of determination. What if they come for us first? What if they know we're onto them? Giovanni's jaw tightened. "Then we'll face them together. I won't let anything happen to you. If it comes to that, I promise I will shield you and your children no matter the cost." At that, a heavy silence enveloped them. The world outside continued, ignorant of the battle they were preparing for. Maria inhaled deeply, trying to absorb the gravity of what she had just agreed to. Somehow, against all odds, feelings were rising in her, a surge of warrior's spirit coursing through her veins. "Let's get started then," she said, her voice steadying. "We'll turn these shadows into light." As Maria let the words hang in the air, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something bigger than either could comprehend. The very fabric of their lives was shifting, and she felt the pulse of urgency echoing as they took their first steps down a road that might lead them to safety or tragedy. The sun was dipping lower in the sky when Giovanni suddenly stiffened. "We need to go. I think someone's watching." Her heart dropped. Shadows weren't just part of their past. They were here, now, lurking closer than ever. Who were they running from, and how far would they have to go to be free? Giovanni's eyes darted to the entrance of the alley. Maria felt her breath quicken as panic clawed at her throat. She turned to face the direction he was looking, her instincts sharpening like a finely honed knife. The gathering dusk cast long shadows, making it hard to see, but some presence seemed to hover just beyond their sight. "Should we move?" she whispered, barely aware of the tremor in her voice. He shook his head. "Not yet. We need to stay calm. I need to figure out who it is." Maria swallowed, her heart pounding. This wasn't just about threats to her. Her children were entwined in this chaos. She could already imagine them, innocent and unaware, and it sent a chill through her. The moments stretched, heavy with tension, each second a reminder of their fragile reality. Was it simply paranoia? Or was there truly someone lurking in the twilight? "Stay close," Giovanni instructed, gently grasping her arm. With that small gesture, a surge of reassurance flowed through her. Here was this man, so burdened by his past, yet standing resolutely before her. "We'll find out what's going on." In no time, silhouettes emerged from the shadows. Two men, clad in dark clothing, stepped into sight. Their faces were obscured, but the air around them crackled with an ominous energy. Maria's stomach sank. Giovanni tightened his grip. "Do you know them?" she breathed, trying to keep quiet. He nodded, his expression shifting from concern to resolve. "These are the ones I feared. They're the reason I can't let my guard down. They're the ghosts from my past." As the men approached, Giovanni's stance grew more determined, like a wall ready to defend. Maria's mind raced through options, and in that instant, she felt the weight of everything they were trying to build hanging in the balance. "Hold tight, Maria," Giovanni said softly, although she sensed the hard edge in his voice. "Don't engage unless I tell you to." The heavy footsteps echoed against the ground, a cacophony of impending confrontation. The men paused a few paces in front of them, the dim light revealing glimmers of mischief in their eyes. "Look who we have here," one of them sneered. "The big hero with a little maid. What's the matter, Giovanni? Thinking you can just erase the past? It doesn't work that way." Giovanni took a protective step in front of Maria, raising his chin defiantly. She could feel his muscles tense, and the immediacy of the moment sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. "You don't belong here," he said firmly. "You're not welcome, and you need to leave." Laughter erupted from the men, echoing harshly against the walls of the alley. "Look around, buddy. This is our territory. You think you can just stroll back in and pretend it's all forgotten?" Maria glanced at Giovanni, his jaw set, breath steady, but she saw the flicker of anger beneath his calm facade. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice lowering to a dangerous edge. The larger of the two stepped forward. "Just a little conversation. Heard you've been busy building something nice, a cozy little dream. We're just here to remind you. Dreams come with a cost." A knot formed in Maria's throat. She stepped to Giovanni's side, fear and determination clashing within her. "And what if we refuse to pay?" she asked, surprising herself with a crispness in her voice. The men exchanged a glance, surprise evidently shading their faces. Giovanni shot her a look, a mix of pride and worry. "You'll pay," the second man said, voice dripping with malice, "and we'll be waiting." As they turned away, fading into the darkness, Giovanni sighed deeply. Relief mingled with anxiety, leaving them hovering on the edge of a precipice. "That was a warning," he muttered. "They're not just here to threaten. They'll act if we don't stand firm. We have to prepare." Maria clutched his arm, the weight of reality crashing down. "Then we have to gather others. We need the community behind us. There's strength in numbers." "Let's get to work," Giovanni replied, straightening as if ignited by her courage. But deep down, doubt began to gnaw at her. The shadows were far from finished, and something was brewing that neither of them could yet navigate. She could sense it, each heartbeat reflecting the looming threat. In the dark, just outside their hesitation, she couldn't shake the feeling that betrayal was closer than they realized. Who could they trust when shadows danced all around them? As they prepared to leave the alley, Maria's thoughts raced. The night was just beginning, and they were about to summon a battle that would determine everything they held dear. But what if the greatest danger came from within? The weight of that encounter hung over Maria like a thick fog as they stepped back into the street. The familiar sounds of the city, the distant hum of traffic, muffled laughter, and the rustle of leaves, felt somehow unreal, as if she and Giovanni were the only two souls left in a world gone dark. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. Giovanni ran his hand through his hair, his brow furrowed in thought. "They will, if we don't act. They're used to getting what they want. This is far from over." With each step, resolve began to bolster her spirit. "We need to gather the others. They can help us fight back. Who can we trust?" Giovanni's eye was sharp, scanning the street. "Some may turn on us if we show weakness. It's risky." "Trust flows both ways," Maria countered, heat rising in her chest. "We're not alone in this. Others feel the strain, just like us. They know what it's like to fight." She felt his gaze soften, and for a moment the tension slipped away. "You're right." Together, they made their way toward the community center, where the warmth of familiar faces could ground their fears. Each corner they turned brought renewed hope, but also deeper shadows lurking in her heart. The specter of betrayal loomed large. Was it only a matter of time before someone turned their back? When they arrived, the lights were glowing warmly. The smell of coffee and baked goods wafted through the air, mingling with laughter that echoed off the walls. But underneath that surface, Maria sensed the nervous energy. Eyes flickered toward them, gauging their expressions. "Maria! Giovanni!" A smiling woman broke through the crowd, her arms wide to embrace them. It was Elena, a pillar in their community and Maria's closest friend. What happened? You both look like you've seen a ghost. Maria hesitated, glancing at Giovanni. We had an encounter, she started, then paused. Words failed her as the weight of their reality slapped her in the face again. But she pushed through. Two men showed up in the alley. They know Giovanni's past. Elena's smile faltered. What do they want? Giovanni stepped forward, anger simmering just beneath the surface. They want us to pay for what we've built, to remind us they're still here. But we're not backing down. We need to unite. This isn't just about me anymore. The room dealt with a hush. Startled faces locked onto Giovanni, then Maria. They understood all too well what the two men represented. It was a fear that dictated choices made in the dark. How can we help? Someone called out from the back. Outrage cloaked in camaraderie emerged as voices grew stronger and plans began to form. Maria felt a flicker of hope igniting amidst the encroaching dread. They were warriors in their own way, ready to stand together. As the discussion intensified, Maria's gaze drifted. She caught snippets of whispered conversations, varying tones of confidence and uncertainty. But then she spotted a figure lurking at the edge, a new face, a man she didn't recognize, his presence uneasy. Something about him felt off, and her gut twisted with unease. Who's that guy? She whispered to Giovanni, a sense of foreboding rowing. Giovanni's eyes narrowed. I don't know, but we should watch him. Before he could finish his thought, the stranger glanced their way and locked eyes with Maria. A shiver skated down her spine. It wasn't just curiosity she saw. It was recognition, and maybe something darker. Something that made her question whether he was a threat or a potential ally. As the gathering moved into action, Maria faced the conundrum. With danger creeping in and trust beginning to fray, how could they forge ahead? What if this new arrival held the key to their fight or their undoing? The room buzzed with conversations, but Maria's thoughts drifted back to the stranger. His steady gaze weighed on her, as if he could strip her bare of her defenses. She wanted to ignore him, to focus on the meeting, but unease was hard to shake off. Let's vote on how to move forward, Elena proposed, bringing the room's attention back to the task at hand. We need a unified approach. Maria struggled to concentrate as the voices danced around her. She caught snippets of strategies, gathering allies, setting traps, looking out for signs of the men who had threatened them. All important, all necessary. But as people started to raise their hands, she couldn't help but glance back at the man. He was still watching. The way he shifted weight from one foot to another hinted at impatience or restlessness. Her breath hitched. Was he waiting for the right moment to pounce? Maria? Giovanni's voice sliced through her thoughts. His brow was furrowed, concern etching deeper lines on his face. What do you think? Jolted back to the moment, she felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. I think we need to be careful. We can't rush, she blurted out, the fractured pieces of her resolve coalescing into something firmer. If we're divided or hesitate, we'll be easy prey. Elena nodded, her expression serious. Then let's plan. Next week, we can gather more of the community. We can set up patrols to watch for trouble, keep a lookout for anyone suspicious. At that, Maria's eyes darted back to the stranger. He was no longer watching. Instead, he was now walking toward the back door, slipping past the jovial noise of their meeting. Her heart raced, a mixture of dread and curiosity pulling her to follow. Where are you going? Giovanni's voice harshened as he noticed her departure. I'll be back, she shot back, unsure who she was trying to reassure. Ignoring his hesitant look, Maria followed the man outside. The cool night air hit her, refreshing yet alarming. She stepped onto the pavement, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She spotted him a few yards away, gazing at the night sky. He seemed oblivious to her presence, absorbed in something deep within. Hey, her voice rang out, punctuating the silent night. Who are you? He turned slowly, and the streetlight caught his features. There was a hollowness about him, something that screamed pain. I don't mean any trouble, he replied, his voice low. I just want to help. Help, she scoffed, suspicion rising. You show up out of nowhere and you think you can help? A faint smile flitted across his lips, almost bitter. Maybe you should hear me out before deciding. Moments stretched between them, tension filling the space. She could turn back, go inside, join Giovanni and the others, but something deeper compelled her to stay. Why did you come here? She pressed, crossing her arms in defiance. He sighed, and for a moment, his eyes reflected a world of sorrow. I know what those men are capable of. I've seen it firsthand. What do you know? More than you could imagine, and I can help you prevent them from destroying everything you've built. Bout nodded her as she stared at him. Could he really have useful information? Or was he just another threat, hiding behind a mask of concern? Maria, please. He stepped closer, urgency in his voice. You have to trust me. Right now, it's your only option. Both fear and hope tangled within her. In the distance, Giovanni called her name, his voice growing more frantic. She had to decide. What if he was right? What if he held the key to saving everyone she cared about? Or might this be just another trap waiting to ensnare her? Tell me everything, Maria whispered, feeling the weight of the moment settle in her chest. As she moved closer to the stranger, every instinct screamed at her. Would this be the turning point in their battle, or a leap into unknown peril? I was part of the crowd that lost everything because of them, the stranger began, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made Maria's heart race. I was one of the lucky ones. I escaped, but not without scars. His words hung heavy in the cool night air, each syllable digging deep into the walls she had built around her heart. She instinctively took a step back, her mind racing with the implications of his experience. Scars, she echoed, unsure of what he meant. The man took a deep breath, as if preparing to share the weight of his burden. Yes, scars, inside and out. What I witnessed, what they did, it changed me forever. But I learned how to fight back, to take what they took from me. Fight back, Maria's voice wavered. And what does that mean for me, for us? They're not just threats in the shadows, they're a force that hunts communities like yours. But they underestimate the people they target. He paused, gauging her reaction. It was clear he wasn't just sharing fears, he was offering a path. Listen, if you want, I can teach you how to protect your community, but it won't be easy. The tension wrapped around them like a vice as she tried to absorb it all. You think can you afford not to? He stepped forward, his presence both commanding and vulnerable. The meetings you're having, they help, but they won't be enough if you don't act. They're watching you, waiting for you to show weakness. Maria felt a flutter of anxiety. Giovanni's voice calling her name echoed distantly, reminding her of the urgency of her responsibility. Why should I trust you? Her instinct battled with a growing need to believe him. The man glanced down, fidgeting, then looked back up, that hollowness deepening. Because I know the pain of losing everything. I came here hoping to redeem some part of my past. You can spare many from the future I witnessed. It was tempting, a chance to rise against the threats looming over their heads. A flicker of hope ignited inside her, but she couldn't shake the overwhelming doubt. Take time to think about it, but remember, he urged softly, indecision breeds destruction. Maria's mind was whirling. All she ever wanted was to keep her community safe, to protect the people she loved. She could see how the fear in their eyes mirrored her own. Your friends need you right now, he continued, sensing her hesitation. You can't afford to doubt this opportunity. Giovanni's voice sounded again, more insistent. The door creaked open, and the warmth of the crowd beckoned her back, but Maria didn't move. She focused on the man in front of her instead. What's your name? She asked softly. Evan, he replied, a spark of relief crossing his features. Okay, Evan. The walls inside her began to crack. Let's talk. As her heart pounded, Maria felt the urgency of the moment swell. This was the beginning of something pivotal, something she hadn't expected. But deep down, a nagging question twisted in her thoughts. Was he truly the ally he claimed to be? And if they went down this path together, would they emerge unscathed? As if reading her mind, he stepped closer again, his voice steady. Trust is a choice we make. Choose carefully. Then, as the night faded around them, a siren pierced the stillness in the distance, sending shivers down her spine. The call for action echoed in her ears, pushing her toward a decision. What would her choice be in this moment of reckoning? Would she leap into the unknown or retreat where it was safe? The weight of her community's future hung heavy on her shoulders. And just as doubt began to creep back in, another realization hit her harder. Time was running out. The siren's wail faded into the backdrop, swallowed by the weight of what lay ahead. Maria took a slow breath, feeling a battle of emotions rush through her. Fear, hope, courage. This was no ordinary night. This was a crossroad, not just for her, but for everyone she loved. "Evan," she started, and her voice quivered slightly. "If we do this, if I agree to fight back, what does that even look like? I'm just a regular person." He smiled gently, the kind of smile that held a glimmer of shared understanding. Regular people, Maria, become legends when they decide to stand up. It starts small. We'll gather folks, share knowledge, empower them, arm them with will, teach them skills. His eyes shone with a fierce intensity. That's how we shift the odds. She imagined her neighbors, the elderly, the children, even the overworked parents struggling to make ends meet. Could they really be trained to resist something so overwhelming? And she hesitated, afraid of the answer. If we fail? "Failures, my friend, are just steps toward growth," he said firmly. "If we fail, we learn. These moments will define us as a community. It's about resilience, not perfection. Trust me." Maria felt the edges of despair soften just a little. This wasn't just a chance to fight. It was an opportunity to unite, to find strength in vulnerability. That thought, suddenly bright and overwhelming, gave her the push she needed. "Okay," she whispered, her heart racing. "I'm in." Evan's expression shifted to one of determination, a powerful focus that made her feel like she had just ignited something deep within him. Right then, amid the cool night air and the fading echoes of the siren, hope flared in her heart. "Great," he said, giving a small nod. "We'll start by gathering a few people who are willing to take this step with us. I know it's a lot to ask, but the key is to build trust." She could sense the night shifting around them, the shadows genuinely starting to feel like allies rather than foes. "Let's do it tonight," Maria said, her voice stronger now. "We can find people. We can start talking." His eyes lit up as if she'd just given life to a spark. "That's the spirit, but we have to be cautious. It needs to be discreet. We can't let the wrong people know what we're planning." The adrenaline coursed through her, excitement bubbling at the possibilities. Together, they stepped away from the shadows and back into the light filtering through the door Giovanni had initially opened. What awaited them inside was a sea of familiar faces, unaware and unprepared. Giovanni was gripping a stack of flyers, talking to a group of friends gathered at the edge of the room. Their voices mingled in a chorus of worries and hopes, and Maria's heart pinched at the thought of them facing the truth. "Hey, look," Maria started, drawing everyone's attention. "We need to talk." The room shifted as silence fell, eyes parting between her and Evan. She could feel the weight of their gazes, the concern and doubt melding together. But she pressed on, feeling Evan's steady presence beside her, bolstering her resolve. "We have a chance to be stronger together. There's a threat that looms over us, and we can't keep pretending it doesn't exist." "Mari, what are you saying?" Giovanni interrupted, worry etched across his face. "What threat?" "We can fight back," she replied, heart pounding. "It's going to take effort and strength. I have a plan. We're going to reclaim our safety." Uncertainty hung in the air, but beneath it, something flickered in the eyes of her friends, a hint of belief. As murmurs began, Evan quietly scanned the crowd, his expression gauging which faces showed promise and determination. Maria felt the swell in her chest, the surge of possibility. Could they truly unite and take action? But just as whispers of encouragement began to grow, a sudden loud crash echoed from the back. Everyone froze, their collective breath caught in their throats. Maria's heart pounded fiercely. What was that noise? Had the danger already come for them? She met Evan's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. This moment could define their fate. Was it time to stand and face whatever was coming, or retreat into the fearful past? The choice loomed. Danger lingered in the shadows, and answers waited just beyond the doorway. The noise reverberated through the room like a thunderclap, breaking the fragile atmosphere of anticipation. Maria's heart raced as the crowd shifted, anxious and alert. Her breath caught in her throat, and she felt Evan's hand gently squeeze her shoulder, a silent gesture urging her to take control of the moment. "Everyone, stay calm," she called out, her voice shaky yet firm. "Let's find out what's going on." Giovanni took a step back, his eyes wide with fear, and a few others followed suit, retreating toward the walls, their faces painted with worry. But Maria stood her ground, her heart thumping like a drum against her ribs. This was a test. They had to stay united, show they weren't afraid, even when doubt crept in through every crack in their resolve. "Evan, can you check it out?" she whispered, her voice barely loud enough for him to hear over the murmur of uncertainty growing in the group. His nod was prompt, his expression focused. Evan slipped through the crowd, moving toward the source of the noise, a door at the far end of the room. Maria watched him go, her stomach twisting with anxiety. She wanted to scream for him to be careful, but she knew he had to do this. They had come too far to back down now. Moments stretched into eternity as she stood before their circle of friends, words teetering on the edge of her lips. "We can't let fear take us. We're stronger when we stand together. Whatever's happening, we'll face it as one." Slowly, nods of agreement surfaced in the group. Evan returned, his face pale yet resolute. "Just a fallen shelf, nothing to worry about," he reassured them. But that didn't completely ease the storm of anxiety brewing in the room. "Okay then," Maria said, swallowing her own fears. "Let's focus. We need to start organizing. Who's with us?" This time, the crowd stirred, whispers of agreement snaking through the group. One by one, hands began to rise. Her heart swelled as Giovanni raised his hand, followed by other familiar faces, Maya, Lucas, even old Mrs. Thompson from down the lane. Each hand raised wasn't just a pledge, it was a light igniting hope in a room once shrouded in dread. "We'll meet at my place every week. We'll plan, we will learn what we can do. No one should feel afraid in their own home," Maria declared, her passion flooding through her words. She saw the fire ignite in their eyes. "Let's reclaim our power." As the cheers began, rising like a tide, Maria felt the swell of community lift her. This was it. This was the first step toward change. But as momentum built, a quickening prickle of unease knotted in her stomach. They were stepping into uncharted waters. Just then, the overhead lights flickered, casting eerie shadows over them. The cheers faded, replaced by a heavy silence that fell over the room once more. "I've got a bad feeling about this," Giovanni whispered to Evan, his voice just loud enough for Maria to hear. "Me too," Evan replied, scanning the room with furrowed brows. Maria tapped into her resolve, shaking off the chill that ran down her spine. "We can't let fear win. We need to address all threats, even the unseen ones. Knowledge is our weapon." But as she spoke, a heavy noise echoed from the front of the building, like a large truck rumbling to a stop. Footsteps surged outside, heavy and unyielding. "Everyone, quiet," Maria commanded, tension rising as they strained to listen. The door rattled, metal scraping against the frame, as if something was trying to burst through. "Get ready," Evan urged, positioning himself in front of Maria, the protective instinct shining in his eyes. What awaited them on the other side? Were they about to be confronted with their fears? Did their bravery have a fighting chance? Maria's heart raced, the thrill of the unknown twisting through her like a live wire. In that electric moment, uncertainty hung in the air like a storm cloud waiting to burst. What would happen next? Would their courage hold strong against the tide of danger bearing down upon them? The door burst open, splintering against the wall as darkness rushed in like a tidal wave. Maria's heart lurched as her worst fears collided with reality. A group of men, faces shrouded in shadow, stepped forward, exuding an air of menace that sent chills down her spine. Gio's protective stance in front of her felt like a feeble shield against the storm raging in their world. "Looks like the little community meeting is a party now," one man sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. The air thickened with tension, and Maria could feel the heat from the stares fixated on her and her people. She held her breath, willing herself to stay calm. "Who are you?" Giovanni's voice cut through the silence, authoritative yet strained with emotion. "They call me Marco," the man replied, a cruel smile curling on his lips. "And I'm here to remind you about misplaced dreams. You think you can just build a business in our territory? Think again." Hands clenched, Maria felt dread coiling tightly around her. Giovanni exchanged a look with her, a shared, silent understanding. This was a defining moment, but she wasn't about to let fear dictate their fates. "Just because you brought darkness doesn't mean we'll cower in the shadows. You have no say here." Maria stepped forward, channeling bravery she didn't know she had. The eyes of her friends widened as they absorbed her audacity. Marco's grin faltered, if only for a moment. "Ah, the maid wants to play tough. Cute. But the reality is, you don't know who you're dealing with." "I know more than you think," Maria shot back, her fear morphing into courage. "And if you want to threaten us, you will be met with something you've never imagined, a united front." "Unity?" Marco laughed harshly, a sound devoid of humor. "You have no idea what you're stepping into." He leaned closer, and Maria could see the menace behind his eyes like a fuel for a flame. "You think those that suffer fear won't turn on you, too?" That thought sent a ripple of unease through her. But behind her, a soft voice rose from the crowd. "But that's where you're wrong." It was Elena. "We've seen pain, fear, and distress. We lived through it. We'll fight together." A ripple of agreement surged through the crowd. The bravery blossomed, pulsing like an ember catching fire. Marco glanced back towards his men, quiet irritation evident on his face. "You really believe standing together will change anything? The moment you show weakness, it'll be game over." "Then we'll never show weakness," Maria retorted, finding her voice amidst the chaos. "We'll prepare. We'll learn. We're not just planning on defending ourselves. We're here to reclaim what's ours." Her words sparked something within their group, pushing them forward as everyone stood taller, resolute faces forming a barrier of defiance against their adversaries. "Enough," Marco growled, moving menacingly toward them. "Perhaps you need a reminder of your place." Suddenly, the tension snapped like a taut string. Giovanni stepped forward, fierce and protective, resolving to hold his ground. "Step back. You're not welcome here." "You think that matters?" Marco stepped closer. "Time for you to understand your place in the order of things." Without warning, chaos erupted. Maria's heart thundered as she instinctively moved closer to the others. Fists flew, the sound of bodies colliding reverberated against the walls, and her heart pounded with every struggle. "Stay together, stay united," she shouted, her voice rising above the tumult, urging everyone to focus on the unbreakable bond forged under the weight of danger. Against the backdrop of violence, she saw something shift, a fierce urge among her friends to fight back. Everyone moved in shockingly synchronized motions, stepping into the fray as if choreographed by a shared instinct. They rallied back, responding not only with grit but heart. Now, Evan cried out, joining Giovanni in solidifying their defense around her. Maria squared her shoulders, adrenaline coursing, working their strategies into fluid motions as they started to push back. "We're reclaiming our home," she shouted, a mesh of fear and exhilaration fueling her charge. As Gabriella led a group to grab defunct materials to use as makeshift barriers, she felt the collective resolve rippling through the air. They weren't just fighting back against their fears, they were an embodiment of something greater, a community refusing to bend beneath the weight of threats. The shift was palpable. What had once been a confrontation turned into a chaos of spirit and heart, rallying around dreams they clung to fiercely. Every shout, every push filled the room with inflicted resilience. But as quickly as it had begun, Marco stepped back, eyes flashing with defiance. "This isn't over, little warriors. You might win a battle, but I will own this city, whether you like it or not." Then he turned, signaling his men to retreat, shadows melting back into the darkness from whence they came. Maria felt her heart racing, standing tall amidst the chaos that had just unfolded. They had held their ground, and the air thrummed with a sense of triumph. Joyous faces surrounded her, a mix of laughter and exhilaration juxtaposed against the danger that had just departed. They were still standing together, breathing deeply against the weight of uncertainty. "Did we just do that?" Elena breathed, wide-eyed with disbelief. "Against all odds." Giovanni's voice rang out, respect etched in his gaze as he turned to her. "You made the right call. We all did." It was more than just a victory. It was survival. The shadows may loom ever closer, but they knew their power now, and armed with each other, they stood resolute. Maria felt gratitude swell, pride blooming within her, igniting a fire that propelled them forward. But she also understood that the path ahead would demand more than just courage. Together, they had to be vigilant, cohesive, and brave, turning fears into foundations for a new beginning. As they regrouped, Maria looked to the crowd around her, feeling hope woven into the very fabric of their united existence. This was the spark. This was how communities thrived. And just like that, she proclaimed, "Let's get that plan into action. We're not done fighting, not by a long shot." The room erupted into applause, their vibrant energy a testament to spirit. On this night, they hadn't just defended a building, they had defended a chance at a brand new life. And together, they would face whatever lay ahead, prepared to honor their shared strength against any shadow that dared to threaten their dreams. As the first whispers of dawn crept in, signaling a new beginning, Maria knew her fight had just begun. But for the first time, the daunting road ahead felt so much lighter. And with this knowledge, she finally understood they wouldn't be fighting alone. This was a community, a sanctuary, and they would rise together. It was time to subscribe to their new reality and make it worth every moment. Now it's your turn to step forward. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the power of community, and it starts with you. As the first whispers of dawn crept in, signaling a new beginning, Maria knew her fight had just begun. But for the first time, the daunting road ahead felt so much lighter. And with this knowledge, she finally understood they wouldn't be fighting alone. This was a community, a sanctuary, and they would rise together. It was time to subscribe to their new reality and make it worth every moment. Now it's your turn to step forward. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the power of community, and it starts with you.